Welcome to our international podcast, Below the Belt. And thanks for joining us wherever you're picking us up from today. It is our privilege having each and every one of you here with us, folks. Below the Belt, who vex. Let us know how you're picking up our audio feed. Please and thank you. Let us know again how you picking up the audio. Is the audio nice for y'all? Is it just the way you want it? Is it nice? Let us know that. We are very eager to know whether the audio is good at your end. And I see Vashti Magnot has already joined us from Waterloo, Canada. And she says it's cold today. It's not as cold today, rather. It's 2 degrees. Is it 2 degrees less than yesterday? More than yesterday? Or it's just plain 2 degrees in Waterloo, Canada? Mbali Clark. Good to see you, Mbali. Good to see you there. Good to see you, Mbali. Vashi said, yes, it's nice. It's nice. The weather's nice in Waterloo, Canada. Good to see you, Mbali Clark again. Michaela Webster, Maureen Coppin Williams, Verda France. I see also Erwin Dawn Cook is with us. Jennifer Babb, William Kosha, Andrew Cuthbert is with us. June Chase. Charlene. Good to see you, Charlene. Lorraine Garnett. Good to see Lorraine with us as well. Janice McPherson. Janice. Roxanne Aaron is with us too. Sharon is here as well. Tessa Isaacs, Gravesandi, Deboto. Marlin Thomas is always here. Rummy Leander. Rummy, I spoke with your family recently. Thank you, Rami. Thank you so much. Thanks to you and Ismay for all of the support. Thank you guys so much. Folks, some people support, some people batting for we, Some people out here batting for us. We told you all this is a tight month. Things tight. And we need as much support as we can get. And the Leanders have stepped forward, guys, and they're helping us tremendously. We need your help as well. We need your help as well to keep our podcast going, to meet our responsibilities this month, guys. We got Cash App, we got PayPal, we got the MMG system. We're available via MoneyGram and Western Union. Things tight, folks. And you all know them boys coming after us. And we need your help to keep going. A lot of responsibilities we got to meet. Lots of financial obligations we got to meet this month to keep our programs going. We got a website, guys. You've noticed we've put more information up there for you. And one of the stories today, we're talking about our main feature today, or discussion today, is based on one of those stories we featured on our website just last evening. A sad time here. It's a dark time, my love, as the national poet says. We're talking today about the healthcare system in crisis. A snake bite kills McLeno or McLeo. Am I pronouncing it correctly? McLeno Markus Martindale, 6 years old, of Region 9 in the Rupununi. A snake bite. 3 hospitals can't help this young fella. 3 hospitals. He had to wait hours for a medevac, ultimately losing his life. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about that among some other issues. We've been talking with our very own member of parliament from Region 9, Vincent Henry. We want to know what happened with COVID in that area, what happened with the healthcare system in that region, and why is it young McLeno Markus Martindale had to lose his life. You know, these problems here that killing Guyanese every day in this country under this install regime and cabal. People solved them years ago in other countries. You all who joining us from those first world countries who've had the privilege of living overseas in the diaspora, you all know you got your anti-venom and so on. Those things are commonplace. It's only here. It's only here, guys. And the COVID situation is only, folks, the COVID situation only getting worse, It ain't getting better. It only getting worse. Paulette Hicks, Sharon Castillo Edwards, Desiree Smart Felix, Reno Williams, Michael Wilson, Yvonne Ferguson, Wendy Rowland, Carol Hudson. It only getting worse, It only getting worse. Folks, take the liberty of sharing our live stream. We're going to have Vincent joining us in just a couple of minutes, we want to get our preliminary issues out of the way. Vashi was telling us that the weather is nice where she is in Waterloo, Canada. Folks, how is the weather where you are? What are you guys having for lunch? I got two puri here. I can have some soda. Picked up two puri from these guys in Roxanne Burnham Gardens. They got an epic, classic, iconic puri. I'm going to have some soda maybe with that. And I'm having a light lunch. 32 degrees here. Or rather, weather.com tells us it feels like 32 degrees, but they're telling us it's 29 degrees outside, actually. Let me make sure that we're getting this correctly. Nope. Yep. Feels like 32 degrees outside, but it's actually 27 degrees. Feels like 32 degrees, but it's actually 27 degrees outside. But there's a 59% chance it's going to rain. And this is for the national capital city of Georgetown. It's going to rain. There's a 59% chance. Folks, pick up your umbrella when you're coming out. I know, Vashti, you others would rather this little rain as against the mountains of snow they got in places like Waterloo, Canada. Vibert White, we see you guys there. Yvonne Kingston says it's raining a little in Linden, Region 10. It's raining a little there. Myrtle Stevens says that she's fasting today. Sheena Hazel, good to see you. Doreen Clark says it's 37 degrees. Doreen, where are you? Cherry Baskin Greenwich is listening from Barbados. Cherry, we'd love to have an update of how the election's going there, how the voting is going there. Wendy Rowland is joining us from a cold New Jersey. Roxlyn Jones says she's having some cabbage and fried fish. Orinthia Gaynor, respect and manners, Orinthia. Good to see you there. Orinthia is one of those people who helping us to go from strength to strength. Respect and manners. Cabbage and fried fish. Banger's the fish. Roxlyn Jones having that today. I envy you, Roxlyn. We envy you. Sharon Castillo Edwards says it's windy with mild chills in New York. Windy with mild chills. And Orinthia Gaynor says, good afternoon, Guyana. Folks, respect and manners, wherever you're joining us from. Good afternoon to each and every one of you. And welcome to our international podcast. You see folks joining us from all over the world. You see why we have an international podcast? It's because of you, Petula Boys. Good to see you. Good to see you. 59% chance it's going to rain in the national capital city. Wendy Yap, good to see you there, Wendy. Natasha, or is it Natisha? Natisha Barker, good to see you. I see also Setred Gibson from says she wants some puri in New Jersey. We're going to send some for you, Setred. Not to worry. Whole strain. Vanessa Andrews, we see you out there. Shonat Alicia, we see you as well. Good to see each and every one of you. Good to see each and every one of you guys. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining the live stream today. As I said, we're going to be joined by Member of Parliament Vincent Henry, and we're talking about a healthcare system in crisis. A snake bite kills McLeno Markus Martindale, 6 years old. Oh God, he hasn't begun to live his life as yet. Hasn't begun to live his life as yet. And we're picking up this story, folks, from our affiliate publication, Credible Sources. And one of our contributors there put together this story for us as it broke last evening, telling us that a 6-year-old boy from the South Rupununi Primary School in Region 9 is now dead after being bitten by a poisonous snake while on his way home from the family farm with his grandmother last Friday. And this was around 17:30 hours. Our correspondent spoke with a relative of McLeno who resides in Brazil. And the relative related McLeno Markus Martindale was first rushed to the Karasabai Hospital on Friday and was then transferred to the Lethem Hospital on Saturday. But his condition became worse on Sunday as he started complaining that he can't breathe properly. The relative said this was when the doctors at Lethem Hospital decided to transfer the young McLeno to Georgetown. Sunday. Sadly, he died on the ambulance. In the ambulance, rather, on his way to the airstrip, according to a relative who resides in Lethem. That's what the relative said. Another relative reported to us, to our sister publication, Credible Sources, that they had to wait 7 hours for a plane to take him out of Lethem, since 3 hospitals in the South Rupununi were unable to treat him. The child was bitten around 3 p.m. and died around 10:48 p.m. at the Lethem Regional Hospital. And of course, the family wants a full investigation. Folks, we said at the beginning of our program, issues that other countries have already solved years ago, minor matters, is what killing Guyanese. You'll understand where we are in the 21st century, in the year 2022. You'll understand where we are. Today's the 19th day of January, and it's Purgatorian confusion powder at every quarter. Oh, the folks there wailed for this young lad who would have lost his life, for the want of just some anti-venom. Can you guys imagine that? For the want of just some anti-venom. Listen to them lamenting and wailing as this young man lost his life.
I don't put ice over the food. 100. 100. 664. No, you're not
Ever you do to the least of my people, I was hungry, you gave me to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me to drink. Considering you live on my fire, that you belong to.
Folks, that was the family and the community that loved this young lad, 6 years old, and he's lost his life to a snake bite. McLeno Markus Martindale transitioned life last Saturday. And we're going to be joined by the MP out of Region 9. Fantastic guy, Vincent Henry, as to what's happening there in the healthcare system. It's sad. Let's try to pull Vincent into the discussion. We want to know what's happening out on that side. We want to know what's happening on that side. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. And we're going to have Vincent as soon as we can. It's the powers that be, the installed regime and cabal. Are they really interested in the welfare of Guyanese? Do they really care? When you see something as a snake bite, every health facility in the world, especially in areas where snakes exist, as part of the natural habitat, carry anti-venom. And the report tells us they went to at least three health authorities, and none of them could help. What is country coming to? You know, those of you who join us from the diaspora must be wondering, where we heading? I'm certain that's a question in your minds often. Where them boys heading? Folks, I have with me this afternoon Member of Parliament, the Honorable Vincent Henry, who represents Region 9. And we just want Vincent to give us a broad sense of what's happening in the healthcare system when a young man, you know, as this young lad, 6 years old, McLeno Markus Martindale, could lose his life for the want of antivenom, visiting, according to the reports, at least 3 health facilities. Vincent, a very good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon to you, Sherrod. Good afternoon to listeners. Well, indeed, it's a very sad situation when any child dies from either snake bite or any other form of medical disorders, etc. But the situation with what we read there is very disturbing because anti snake venom, well, is available just across the border. And I do not understand how the medical people cannot make it a priority to get that well stocked right across the region, Region 9, and maybe hinterland areas. Because right now, especially the rattlesnakes, they are moving quite freely across the region because of fires and the heat. They're looking for water, etc. So, something is very wrong with our system.
And Vincent,
And it's
this is the natural habitat.
Yes, it is. It is a natural habitat for the rattlesnake and others, actually. So we have got to prepare for them. They will be moving. And if we do not prepare, we have to prepare to lose lives, especially with what's happening in our health system is not preparing itself for the eventualities. I just called the Tushao of Cardinal in the south of Panoni, and he was telling me that the health center there hardly has drugs. I called Shelton and was told that when the people are diagnosed with having COVID, the only drug they're being given is Panadol, nothing else. So that's what it has come to. We have a Panadol a Panadol relief health situation in the country, especially in Region 9. We are left behind and we don't have adequate supplies of drugs, etc. And then, Sherrod, if you allow me to move quickly into COVID, we have had accumulated over 3,000 cases of COVID that we know of reported in Region 9. It could be far more than that because some are not reported. And just imagine from a population of about 18,000, we have 3,000 accumulated cases. That's not good enough. That's not
at all.
That's very, very bad. That's extraordinarily bad. So, and not only that, the COVID task force seems to have gone underground. They are not, active. They are not existing. When, like say a few months ago, when we were expecting a big set of COVID to come across from the border and elsewhere, it was a time when the COVID task force and the government of Guyana began closing down the various activities that were in place. For example, going south, you had a place called Saura Bridge where we had a checkpoint that was closed. Entering Latin, that was closed. All over the place, all those task force activities were closed down. As if to say that COVID has gone, but COVID is here with us to stay, and we have got to be active. And I understand that the chairperson of the task force seems to have thrown his towel up in the air and given up. So that is what is happening with us here, and It is time for a change. It's time for us to get back to where we have a government that cares for the indigenous people and the people in general in Guyana. It is time for us to get back to what is normal. Right now is abnormal, and people are
Yep.
suffering,
Yep.
and people will continue to die because of the negligence of this government and the health people, especially when you hear the minister speak, it's as if he has given up. He speaks as if he has no
Well, I
life.
was coming there because, and to add to what you were saying, that is not only the health authority where you are there in Region 9, but the ministers seem to have given up as well. Because folks who are listening to us, this might seem odd to y'all because we know a lot of our listeners come from around the world. Yesterday, the administration announced, the regime announced that only hospitalized and high risk people will now be given a PCR COVID test. So, really and truly, you got to be dying. That's what they told us. Only hospitalized and high risk people will now be given a PCR COVID test. So when we say that them guys give up, this is why, this is the premise from which we're coming from. And that's not the only issue. They told us yesterday as well that discharge certificates will no longer be offered for persons in home isolation because the authority said they have no way to verify any longer. So many people coming down with COVID, they no longer can verify who has successfully completed their home isolation and who has not. So they're discontinuing the whole process altogether. And on the previous issue of the PCR test, again, they're telling us that there's so many persons who are now requiring the PCR test. So many persons coming down with COVID-19 that they no longer have the test available. Again, it is only those persons who are hospitalized and high-risk people who will now be given the PCR test. And we are a country who we got close to $1 billion US in oil reserves. And something as simple as a COVID test going to kill we. Vincent.
Yes, I was saying that when you listen to the Minister of Health, you get a sense that he has given up. Just imagine you're saying things like you suspect that the Omicron is in Guyana, etc.
Mhm.
You suspect.
Mhm.
You have all the facilities, all the governmental facilities at your disposal, including monies, etc. And you're going to be saying you suspect when people's lives are at stake.
Yep.
And Sarah, I know you're time running out of time, but quickly, what bothers me also is that
Take your time, Vincent.
imagine at the
Take
beginning
your
of the
time.
whole
We
COVID,
can take
the
time.
whole- the COVID crisis, when they would have brought in the Sputnik V vaccine without without the World Health Organization or other authorities, saying that it is something that's good enough for the ordinary man or for people. They brought it in, and they continue to defend that that bringing in of a Sputnik vaccine that was even brought from Russia. The people who made it was brought via a middleman, and that we don't even know what we were putting into our bodies. So these are the kind of people that we have to deal with, the government that we have to deal with. They don't care about the people, they care about what they could get for themselves. And I don't want to mention that before somebody get what they want to get out of it, because before they get emotionally distressed and drag me before the courts. But
True.
all know what they put as their priority. We all know that. We all know that.
And Vincent, you're
Yes.
absolutely right. I want to dial back to what you said earlier on about Frank saying that you rather suspect. To put it in context for our listeners, we got a minister of health installed here who seemed to know nothing about that. You have a suspect. He suspect we got the Delta variant. He suspect we got Omicron. Then you got the new one now, the IHU. He probably suspect. He never knows definitively nothing. They seem to be sending no samples for testing to be able to pronounce definitively on anything. They don't do any studies. Folks, it's a wild, wild west here. And Vincent is absolutely right. They give up. They give up. But you see this issue with this PCR test? It can be friends and family. You and I can't get a test unless we on a bed and we experiencing tremendous breathing difficulties. We being hospitalized, right? But their friends and family, they can get tests available to them. They will have lots of tests available to them. But I want to come back to the issue Vincent talked about early on, about medication on the whole, because this seems to be a theme throughout the healthcare system. Whether you're in the Rupununi, you're in Region 9, you're in Deep South, all of these areas, having adequate drugs, medication seem to be a problem. I want to take you guys back. And Vincent, just under a year ago, this was a meeting in quarantine that Irfan Ali was at. And he was asking them a whole host of stuff about what are the needs of the area. This is quarantine. Vincent is in the Rupununi, Letem, Region 9, that area there, Aishalton. And the people in quarantine got the same problems. In quarantine, I want you to listen to parts of that meeting. This was June 9th, 2021, less than a year ago. And we seem not to be solving this problem. Take a listen, folks. Take a listen. The meeting was rowdy. Take a listen.
Oh, Governor and Minister, President, I live in this area down here. Oh, my problem is we need more drugs, more facility.
You just said that you don't have any drugs here, the sources.
No, more drugs, more facility, and more good doctors because everybody go down here, the ambulance take them all the time when you're Amsterdam. So why transport everybody? People could stay just here. It's more hard for we to go to New Amsterdam to see our patients. So that is why I'm asking for some help for the hospital.
Is there any sources of drugs there?
Yes, I went last week and you all don't have collateral tablets. There's no collateral tablets right now.
All those people say there's a sources of drugs there from the house.
What you say?
Yes, we will take the
I just wanted to point this
Come, not off too much.
The manga got closed because you can't listen, you can't hear nothing. Stupid people.
Folks, Irfan Ali didn't stay too long at this meeting. He left abruptly. Every hand was raised. Every hand was raised on that question of whether they have enough drugs. You know, if you don't have enough drugs here, raise your hand. Every hand was raised in that place. And we're talking about June 2021 last year. Vincent is telling us what is operating now in Rupununi. Nothing has changed, practically. Vincent.
Well, exactly, Sherrod. And what is happening, I can see, is that this installed government has put people in position who are not capable of doing work on behalf of the people. I was told that one minister in a village named Tolka, when the people complained that there are too many square pegs in round holes, the minister said, well, you got to ram the thing into the hole and you can get wrong. It can get wrong. And that is the kind of thing that is happening in Guyana here. That's what's happening. They're pushing square pegs in round holes and they're ramming it down. And the people suffer, Guyana suffer, we all suffer, Sharon.
Wow. You know, it seems like we ain't solving problems, you know. It reminds me of that issue of the line on the road that we showed on our broadcast last evening with the pothole and they trying to put the road markings and how they went around the pothole, put the white line around the pothole. We ain't solving problems, you know, we go around them and hoping the problems disappear. Because if last year quarantine had problems with medication, right? And quarantine is right around the corner, you know. How are you going to fix problems with drugs and medication in far-flung places like the Deep South and so forth? You understand why this young man, McLeno Markus Martindale, would have lost his life over the last weekend for the simple want of anti-venom. That, as Vincent says, it is so commonplace. You understand how the seasons there are changing, how the reptiles are going to be moving about, looking, foraging, and so forth. And there seem to be no cognizance taken that, you know what, let's make sure that we got these things stocked up. It seems as even though, like, in addition to that, like even the Medivac service is now working. I heard somebody that used to do this Medivac has pulled out of that area there recently. It's a whole host of confusion powder. MP Vincent Henry, make sense of this for Guyanese.
Well, in a nutshell, we have Guyana, including Region 9, will have to get or put in place a government that cares for the people. A government that cares for those on the coast, those on the hinterland, a government that cares for children, a government that wants better for the people of Guyana. But what we have right now is a government that looks after itself and its cronies. They look after themselves very well at the expense of the rest of the population. And like I said before, Sharon, this thing could only change because you cannot change a Jaguar's spot. They will have their spots all the time. That's how they are. The only way this is going to change is when we vote them out at the next elections. And I hope the next elections will be done very, very quickly. Thank you, Sharon.
Yep. Vincent, just before we let you go, just give us a sense of how things are where you are economically and otherwise. Any other issue you wish to bring to our attention or to the attention of members of the public?
Well, there are lots of issues, but there is one I want to raise quickly, and that is at the parliamentary level, we haven't had any meeting of the Natural Resource Parliamentary Committee. None, as far as I know. And imagine, natural resource is one of the biggest things in Guyana right now. We're talking about petroleum, we're talking about gold, we're talking about manganese, we're talking about lots of foreign currency coming in, etc., and the management of it all. And just imagine the minister and the government of the day, they simply seem not to want to hear from the other side or from the people of Guyana. They just want to go about their ways merrily, making decisions by themselves, implementing those decisions, whether right or wrong, and mainly wrong, and carrying on their merry ways. For example, look what happened in Marudi. Marudi, where a gang of persons managed to get control of the area there in terms of mining at the expense of the indigenous people and the population. They were not even consulted. And up to today, I don't think they managed to get their hands on a copy of the agreement that was made between the miners and the government. Something is terribly wrong with what's happening in Guyana. And again, we all know what the solution is. Put things right.
Yep. Vincent, thank you so much for spending this time with us. We know you're a busy guy on the ground there, lots of things happening, but we really want to thank you for taking this time out and spending on our podcast today.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks,
Bye.
Vincent. Great. Folks, a lot happening. Those of you who are joining us in the diaspora, especially those who don't know, you better ask who know. Because I'm seeing some comments here which suggest a lot of you don't know what's happening back home here, A lot of you don't understand. Something as simple as anti-venom that has been discovered and produced long now, commonplace. A 6-year-old boy has to lose his life. McLeno Markus Martindale, and I just played for you some of the lamentation, the grief, of the family and community. I'm certain that a lot of that is shock and hurt. That for the want of snake venom, not even a costly commodity, for the want of a little snake venom. You know what they're interested in doing? We're seeing photographs right now of ministers acquiring huge plots of land, whether it's Region 3, 4, 5, 6, you name it. That's what they're interested in. thieving out state lands, thieving out state assets, friends and family. You know why the PCR test is no longer being given out? Or when it is no longer being given out, private sector will make a lot of money. Folks, this government is about friends and family, you know. You all understand us? Friends and family. That is what this administration is about. So somebody in the private sector who can now get a concession to bring in PCR tests go make millions of dollars because the government took a position that unless you're dead, dying, badly wounded, there will be no PCR test for you. There will be no PCR test for you. Now, folks, I see you have subsidized entities in some places like the US. You could drive up and people giving you a PCR test. Because the main thing is to get people tested and get people vaccinated. And you got a whole government here telling these couple of people we got here as a population, we ain't got 80 million like the US or how much ever millions. Since I was a little boy, we got 750,000. You got tongues in China. Mexico City is 25 million people, a city. 25 million. We got 750,000 for the longest time. More people in the diaspora. I saw a conservative figure that says you go over 800,000 people in the diaspora. So more people living in the diaspora than living in the country. And snake bites still killing people here. You know, some nurses come home and touch base with us. Some medical professionals, doctors, people in different professions in healthcare, and they're shocked when they see how we are operating here. You know, they are shocked when they see how we are operating here. One person called us just over this last week and said they were in Berbice. The woman reported feeling unwell. She was experiencing some breathing difficulties. She said she went to the hospital there and a nurse checked her temperature. This is a medical professional who visited the hospital, experiencing breathing difficulties. She said she checked her pressure home. Her pressure was sky high. She said when she went to the hospital, the nurse checked her pressure again, and the nurse said, "She said, pressure all right. Your pressure all right, man. You don't need no help." They persisted. She persisted and got tested by a doctor. And the doctor confirmed that her pressure was indeed high. Give her the relevant medication and kept her for a little bit for observation, and the pressure came down. But initially the nurse test your pressure, and the nurse said, "Everything good, man. You are right." That woman could have gone home and died. You all understand where we are? The woman could have gone home and dead. Folks, you all hearing us? The woman could have gone home and dead. Right? The nurse says your pressure all right. You don't worry too much, man. Don't worry. You are right. But the woman persisted because, again, she tested herself home and she knew her pressure was high. She knew how she was feeling. That is where we are. And so we have lost this young person. Let us know how you're receiving our audio. Hearing some folks saying no audio, they're not hearing us. Just want to make sure you guys are reading us loud and clear. So this young man here would have lost his life. And again, going back to the report for those of you who are now joining our broadcast, a 6-year-old boy of South Rupununi Primary in Region 9 is now dead after being bitten by a poisonous snake while on his way home from the family farm with his grandmother on Friday, the 14th day of January, just last week. Yep. In a telephone conversation with a member of the family, our publication says that McLeno Markus Martindale was first rushed to the Marasabai Hospital on Friday and then was transferred to the Letem Hospital on Saturday. But his condition became worse by Sunday as he started complaining that he can't breathe properly. And the report we're picking up from credible sources or affiliate publication says that when the doctors at Lethem Hospital decided to transfer him by Sunday, McLeno, they were transferring him to Georgetown. It was too late. He died in the ambulance on his way to the airstrip, according to a relative who resides in Lethem. Another relative told our publication they had to wait 7 hours for the plane to take him out of Lethem, since the 3 hospitals in South Rupununi were unable to treat him. The child was bitten around 3 p.m. the Friday and died around 10:48 p.m. that Sunday at the Lethem Regional Hospital. And of course, the family calling for a full investigation, and they deserve nothing less. They deserve nothing less. Right? 21st century, guys, we're living in. The 21st century, and oh boy, the grief. We pointed out yesterday how this is some of the grief of members of the family. Grief stricken.
I don't put ice over the floor. 100. 100. 664. No, you're not
Ever you do to the least of my people, I was hungry, you gave me to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me to drink. That you belong to me. When I was homeless, you opened the door. When I was naked, you gave me your coat. Now enter into the home of my Father.
Yep. Just want to give you guys a sense of the grief of the community there in Lethem as they interred the young man, 6 years old, McLeno Markus Martindale. And we chronicled for you in our program just last evening of an indigenous brother who was staying at the point of his demise at the Amerindian hostel in Georgetown. And according to reports, he would have been complaining of feeling unwell for over a week now. No one in authority there at the hostel paid him any mind. No one. And yesterday, he just collapsed in the compound and died. Folks told us there was blood coming from his nose. No one there. We are told by credible sources he complained of feeling unwell for over a week. No one at the Amerindian hostel in authority there paid him any mind. He fell in the compound yesterday, collapsed in the compound, and transitioned this life. You know, I saw a comment just now in which someone said, all of this in an oil-producing country. Yep. In an oil-producing country. opulent, filthy rich country. We only got oil, we got bauxite, we got gold, we got diamond, we got magnesium. What else we got? We got rum, timber. You name it. This country is filthy rich. And a 6-year-old got to die for the want of anti-venom. 3 hospitals out. Medication in short supply. Drugs in short supply. Folks, we got some decisions to make soon, you know. A lot of decisions we got to make in this country very soon. Chisholm Henry says, bring back Volder. Right? Paul Cush says, the oil-producing Guyana is a shithole country. You all understand where we are? Mark Doris says we got an incompetent government. Chisholm Henry reminds us we got sugar too. Well, people mash up sugar. Don't let me go there. The promise to open back some of the shuttered sugar estates. 22 months later, Jesus, they even made the gate yet. Much more to open back the estate. Orange Sugar reminds us we got gold. Terence Hart says we are filthy, filthy rich people. But we got a lot of poor people too. Yep. For the want of anti-venom, you could lose your life. Life cheap in this country. We just falling in the street now, we're dead. And life goes on. For Gundes, shot outside Palm Court, a stone throw, 1 block, if so far, away from where the installed president lives at State House. Almost in front of State House. Gunned down in the street. We still waiting to hear who killed for goodness. In every sector, that's the point I'm trying to make. It's confusion powder. In every sector, it's purgatory. It's an easy year. It is not easy at all. Purgatory and confusion powder. Those are the themes of the day. Purgatory and confusion powder. Folks, you heard from MP Vincent Henry what is happening in Region 9. Medication, health problems, the authorities not listening to the people. You know, it's about just making money for some people. Making money for the boys. That's where we're there. In other news, look, this fella Arjun from the New Building Society used to be the general manager there. The people didn't like him, so they wanted to get rid of him. He was awarded millions of dollars in damages. He's still fighting to get it. It's a country we got or civilized plantation. Look what's happening at Dartmouth on the Essequibo coast. Fiery protests in response to the manslaughter charge that they give Sherwin Peters, the alleged killer, the alleged trigger-happy SWAT team member. Every aspect of this country is confusion, powder, purgatory, folks. In every sector, in every sphere. That's what we got. Purgatory and confusion powder. Things tight. Folks, that's where we are, you know. Shirley Madison, Paulette Greaves, Carol Burley, Rochelle, Mark Doris, Paul Cush, Orintia Gaynor. That's where we are, unfortunately. But we got to keep pressing forward. We ain't giving up. We ain't giving up. Right now, we should have already had local government election. Them by concerned with that. Them by postpone local government election. Barbados could call an election in under 3 weeks and pull it off. Right now, voting happening in Barbados. We can have an update for you guys later on in the evening on how that is going. 3 weeks. Right? We completed our last election months ago. But we can't have local government because them boys are ready. Them boys not ready. They ain't got everything in place to rig it again. They ain't got all the people in place to rig it again so we can have local government. And Barbados gone to a general and regional election in under 3 weeks. You all understand where we are? That's how them by rigging the system. Fighting down City Hall. Fighting down all the up new AFC councils and municipalities, RDCs and NDCs. Fighting them down. Trying to replace them with the interim management committee, the IMCs. That's the favorite tool, of suppression. The IMCs. But we got to fight them. Margaret Morris, we got to withstand them. Gavin Beresford, we got to stand against the wrongdoing. And the people who are supportive of this installed cabal, you have a greater responsibility not to turn a blind eye to the atrocities, the mismanagement, the corruption, but to speak out against these things. You have a responsibility. And it's one you all ought to take seriously. Pauline Johns, they better take it seriously. We're in a bad place. And as we wrap up our program, it took CNN to tell us last night that we are at level 4 where COVID is concerned. Guyana, at level 4 where COVID-19 is concerned, we are at level 4. And I'm being advised that's the highest level where COVID is concerned. CNN told us that not Barry Ramsaran, not Frank Anthony, not Leslie Ramsamy, 3 health ministers who we got in one government. None of them told us that. Not DPI, state entity, state media, not NCN, not any of the state radio stations. No, CNN got to tell you we hit level 4. That's the level of COVID, folks. Economically, or father, another show going to tell me where we did economically. We probably level 5 economically. We probably at level 5 economically. Things tight. Yep, things tight. Folks, this is going to be a rough month for us at this end financially. And so we crave your indulgence. Partner with us this month. We got lots of obligations to meet, financial obligations. To the folks where we are, that helps us to produce our programs, to keep the lights on, to keep everything going. We have the podcast. Every day we out here bringing the information to you guys. We have the In the Ring program. We have our website, Credible Sources. And we're going to be bringing the information to you guys. They want we talk to y'all, Their worst fear is that you guys come and listen to us on a daily basis. They don't want that. And so we come to you guys and ask you guys to help us to meet our obligations this month. We got several platforms available. I am delighted to announce that we have Zelle as well. Some guy needs to see the word that says Zelly. Is it Zelly? We have Zelle as well. So via the Cash App, it's the dollar symbol or the dollar sign in the ring 592. Send us a contribution to help us meet our obligation. Partner with us on a monthly basis to keep these programs going. We got another thing in trail as well. At Cash App is the dollar sign or the dollar symbol 592. Right? It's a dollar sign or dollar symbol in the ring 592 rather. In the ring 592. The dollar sign or the dollar symbol in the ring 592. At Zelle, our email address is inthering592@gmail.com. At Zelle, our email address is inthering592@gmail.com. And at PayPal, that's our email address as well. inthering592@gmail.com. So it's the same email address for Zelle and PayPal. inthering592@gmail.com. That is our Zelle email address and our PayPal email address. We're also available via the MMG system. That's the Guyanese Cash App. Our number there is 627-6963. Our number there, again, is 627-6963. And we're available via MoneyGram and we're available via Western Union as well. If you guys want to WhatsApp us for guidance. Our WhatsApp number is the same as our MMG number, 627-6963. But we need your help, guys, to meet our obligation. This month, things more tight than any other month. And they tell me they come in, they tell me to brace myself. And you all see the trying between the courts. So things more tight. We need your support. Come on board and partner with us on a monthly basis to help us to keep going. All of these programs is geared towards getting the information to you guys who need it the most. That's our program today. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you, Charlene Madison and Richard Fordyce, Anthony Hudson, Glennis Mingo Byrne, Jackie Baird. Good to see you. Folks, we got Zelle. Again, we got Zelle now, the email address. InTheRing592@gmail.com. InTheRing592@gmail.com. Pauline Johns, good to see you there. Richard Fordyce, good to see you there. Chisung Henry, Sharon Castillo Edwards, good to see you there. Mark Williams, good to see you. Good to see each and every one of you guys. Eula Lafferman Rubens, love this name. Eula Lafferman Rubens. I know Lafferman. She a little disgusting. She a little disgusting. Good to have each and every one of you nonetheless. Joylyn Cook, Ravi Dirup. Folks, that's an hour already, believe it or not. We're 56 minutes into our program. Andrew Cusbord, good to see you. Shalon Kingston, good to see you. We're going to be back in the ring tonight at 8, guys. Join us. Join us. Lots to discuss there. Join us. Jackie Baird, Margaret Morris, good to see you, Margaret. Mark Doris, Carlotta Barker, good to see you. Folks, thank you so much for those of you who have come on board and you are being of such great support. Alison Michelle Osborne, Jean Rogers, Mbali Clark, good to see you. Good to see you, folks. Respect and manners. Respect and manners. Good to see all of you guys, folks. Stay safe out there. COVID raging. Brothers and sisters at home in Guyana, take COVID seriously. I got my booster dose last weekend, and that is my encouragement to you. Get all the information you need. It's your body's your choice. But if I had to advise you, I say, folks, get vaccinated fully and get boosted up if you've already been twice vaccinated, your first and second dose. Better safe than sorry. Better safe than sorry. It's wild out there with COVID in this country right now. It's the wild, wild west with COVID-19 in this country. Thanks for joining us today, folks. Enjoy lunch. I got my little puri here going to lash. Folks who are new to Guyanese parlance and Guyanese slangs and so forth, lash means you go eat. You're going to have some lunch, folks. Hope lunch is good at you. And I hope I had some of the, I wish I had some of the banger. My friend was advertising earlier. I wish I had some of the banger. But I'm going to lash this puri as is with some, with a beverage. Maybe a shandy. I find shandies pull out the flavor, you know. Pull up the flavor nicely. Is the alcohol in the little alcohol there? Folks, great to have you on the broadcast today. Wherever around the world you're joining us from. If it's cold where you are, try as much as possible to stay warm. If it's wet, like we be there, stay dry, guys. Stay dry out there. Thanks for joining the broadcast. It's been a privilege having you. Shalom Kingston, we see y'all. Glennis Mingo Bourne, we see you. Maxine Monroe, we see you. Good to see you. Margaret Morris, all you fantastic, beautiful people. Thank you so very, very much. Alex Powell, we see you out there. Carol Burley Rochelle, we see you. Michaela Webster, Carlotta Barker, Desiree Emmanuel. Respect and manners, guys. Respect and manners. Stay safe. Stay safe. We're right back here tonight in the ring. Thanks for joining our international podcast. Below the belt. Who vex, lose. Who vex, vex. Ringer time. Fire upon all the trenches and the trench crappos. Fire upon all the jagabats. Stay safe, guys. See you guys tonight. See you guys tonight. Be gone. We're out of here.